Good AI morning, Islanders. Today, your inner middle schooler will be loving today's video as we try to predict whether or not it will snow tomorrow in hopes for a snow day. Hey, yo, Islanders, I hope you're all having just another wonderful day in paradise. I know some of you know this already, but I actually went to school for a couple years over at Florida Atlantic University before I decided to switch back to University of Rhode Island, my home state. Now, yes, I did grow up in Rhode Island, and kind of something that was a pretty cool ritual was that we would have snow days during the school year. And I absolutely love snow days. It used to get me so excited, and that inner middle schooler of me is going to be coming out in today's video as we try to predict whether or not I'll be having a snow day tomorrow. Now, for those of you who are brand new to the Islander community, my name is William McKeon, and the Islander community is all about making artificial intelligence accessible by using Python to learn applications of artificial intelligence through demonstration. With all that being said, sit back, relax with your favorite snack, and let's get into this data set, shall we? Alrighty, Islanders, so before we can actually start making any sort of model, what we have to first of all do is start importing the Python packages we're going to need for today's video. So the first one we're going to need, of course, pandas, PAN, a channel favorite. And now the next thing we're going to be doing is a Python package we haven't really worked that much with, but it's going to be numpy. So import numpy, and we're going to set this alias as np. Now the next thing we're going to do is import two of our community's Python packages, irdatacleaning and Islanders. So import irdatacleaning and import Islanders. All right, once we've done that, now we can actually start importing our dataset. The cool thing about our dataset, it was created by this really awesome guy over at GitHub, and I'm going to leave a link to the GitHub repository down in the description bar down below, as well as the link that we're going to be using inside of, well, actually, we're going to say snow equals pd.read csv, and this link right here that y'all see is actually, it's a link to the raw CSV file of that data set. If you were just to take this URL and plug it into a HTML or Google Chrome, what you're going to get is the raw version of that CSV file. Now, if you want to see the whole repository, go ahead and check out the description bar down below to get that link. But we're going to run this, and the next we're going to be able to do is some data analysis. Now, you've all seen me do data analysis so many times on this channel. I'm just going to show you real quick which types of methods I'm going to use, and then we're going to speed right on through it. I'm going to show all of you what my discoveries of that data discovery are. So what we're going to first of all use is we're going to say snow.head, and then we're also going to say, oh no, we're also going to go into snow dot, what is it, describe, and we're also going to go into my favorite, snow.info. All right, once I figure out what's going on within this data set and learn everything that needs to be done underneath the hood in order to make an awesome model, I'll tune right back into all of you and tell you what I find. So I'm back, and what I could say is this data set is a really awesome data set. It's well detailed, has no missing values. However, there are going to be some steps we're going to have to take within the data preparation step. The first step is that we can see there is a date column for each one of these instances of these weather phenomenons, and we should be seeing this date column inside of info as a date time formatted column, but instead it's an object column. Not a big deal. We have a class within irdataclean that will be able to correct this problem. Now, the next thing we're going to want to do is our attribute column, or our Y column, is going to be weather. All right, so what we're going to want to do while we're doing some data discovery with this data set, before we can actually continue on to the data prep stage, is we're going to want to check out what is going on within our attribute column. And since we're making a decision tree classifier, really want to get an idea of what categories are being represented inside of our data set. So there's a really easy way to do that. We're going to keep track of which one is our attribute column, and then the next thing we're going to do is scroll down to here where we're going to call upon our data set, snow, and we're going to say dot weather, which is our column, and we're going to call upon the pandas value count method. This is going to allow us to see each count of our values. So rain has 641, sun has 640, fog 101, drizzle 53, and snow is 26. Now, don't get depressed just yet about how snow, which is our main objective, we want to predict whether or not it's going to snow tomorrow, is the smallest class out of our whole classification model. It's honestly a good thing because it shows to us that our data set is unbiased, because honestly, rain and sun are two of the most common weather phenomenons there are in the world. Fog and drizzle, probably a close second, depending on where you are in the world. And snow rarely happens as often as you think it does. I mean, it's not like the movies where you have a snowy white Christmas. So once we have an idea of what's going on within our data set, now we can start going into the data prep by first off starting with. All right, guys, so in order for us to be able to do some data prep as well as be able to use the date column, we're not going to be able to convert the date column into a date time formatted column. And the reason being is because decision trees don't like date columns. I found this out the hard way when I was doing the research behind this, well, before this video. And so what we're going to actually do is we're going to split that one column up into its individual parts and then import all those parts into a dictionary, which is exactly what we have here for date. Once we have created this date, we're going to be able to therefore drop the date column from our original data set, snow. And then we're going to take the original data set as well as this dictionary, and we're going to I always say this wrong. Concatenate them back together and create a brand new pandas data frame called new snow. Once we've created this new snow, I really want you to look at this head method for new snow. What we can see real quick is that month is not the string values of the month. Instead, it's the numerical values for each month of the year. This would be fine if you didn't really care that much about about the date. But since we're going through the whole process of splitting this apart and adding it and doing all this crazy stuff, we might as well do it right. So the next thing we're going to want to do is actually convert that one column into a numpy array so that we can make some corrections to this column. A numpy array is a lot easier to work with than a pandas data frame. So what we're going to do from there is actually we're going to therefore use each numerical value within this one column to be able to call upon the values within this list of month underscore name. Essentially convert these numerical values into the string values of those specific values. Therefore, afterwards, what we're going to then do is say new snow. We're going to replace the month of new snow to this brand new month list. Once we've done that, we can now start encoding that one column. We're going to use one hot encoder. And the way that we're going to be able to do that is by using our Python package, our data cleanings encoder method. Once we have called upon that and we use the check method to actually make those corrections, what we're going to do next is evaluate the data set. What I don't really like about this data set, and I'm being really nitpicky, is what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to split this data set up into two parts. And really it's because I want the months at the end of this data set to now be next to days. So the way that we're going to be able to do that is by calling upon these two cells. These two cells are going to split this data set up and then stitch them back together. Another thing I don't like is that this used to be the months column, but for some reason it got rid of the name and the column's still there. So we're going to take care of that in a couple of seconds. But before we actually do that, we're going to actually continue on to encode using ordinal encoder on the weather column. Now, the reason why we're using ordinal encoder on the weather column, even though it's an attribute column, is because by using ordinal encoder on the attribute column, it's actually going to help the performance of your model. So that's why we're doing it. And we're going to use, of course, the encoder method from our data cleaning. And in order to actually be able to call upon ordinal encoder, is we're just going to have to say type equals ordinal encoder. And that's really because by default, encoder is going to be using one hot encoder. Once we've done that, we just have to make sure real quick that we have all the values of that ordinal encoder, all the specific individual categories. We want to make sure that we can call upon so we can decipher those values once we're done with the model. So that's what encoder.categories allows us. It's actually a list within a list that has all the specific categories like rain, sun, fog, drizzle, snow. All that fun stuff is all going to be stored upon this variable. The next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to find that one column that has no name, and we're going to want to delete it straight out of the data set. So what we're going to do in order to do that is we're actually going to come over and we're going to call upon snow.columns. Once we call upon snow.columns, we're going to be able to see all the different columns, and our data set has a lot of columns. But the one we want to spend the most attention to is, where are you? Well, I can't find you, but I ended up replacing that empty column, which is just two quotations, dropping that column completely, and then I called upon this same line, which is why you can't see that empty column. And once we've done that, we can now start doing some more stuff. So now that we have our data all prepped and ready to be turned into a model, the next thing we have to do is we're gonna have to split our data into the features and the attribute data. Now, I've been saying those two words a lot lately over the past few videos, and I'm sure a lot of you really are wondering what is attributes or features. Well, those two words are actually used a lot within the data world, and what they are is essentially it's your X and your Y, where your features value is going to be the values that you're going to use to predict your model. So for our instance, it's going to say, we're going to say feature data is going to equal np dot array of snow dot iloc from colon comma colon -1 dot values. All right, now when I run this line, the features data is going to have all the values that I want to be using to predict my model, to be predicting the weather. That's why it's all the columns except for this one weather column. The weather column is going to be our attribute column, also known as our Y values. All right, now these are the data that we're going to be predicting, which is essentially why what we're going to do in order to be able to call upon this data is we're just going to say, what is it? Attribute values equals np array. I don't want feature, but I want snow.iloc -1, meaning I want the last column of my pandas array. All right, I mean pandas data frame, not pandas array. All right, so once we have all that and we've ran this code, the next thing we're going to do, and I'm going to show you something that's really cool. All right, Anna, so you've seen me make a decision tree on this channel quite a few times now. What if I told you that I created a way for you all to make a very accurate model extremely easy? Let me show you. What we're going to do is we're going to come over here. We're going to say DEC equals islanders.dt. All right, within DT, we're going to pass in the X value, which in our case is feature data, and the Y data, which is going to be attribute. Now, there's a whole boatload of stuff you can do with this Python package, but we're not going to go too far in depth on it in today's video. Instead, that's going to be next video. So if you're not yet subscribed, please go right ahead and hit the subscription button as well as that bell icon so you get notified when that video goes out. But what this is going to do is create a decision tree for you. So we can just run that line, and we're going to say dt equals dec dot ACC. All right, now when you're using this Python module, just keep in mind that I haven't finished the Python module. There's still some stuff that I want to work out, but the ACC method works flawlessly. So if we run this line real quick, it's going to create the most accurate possible model with the data that we have. So we're going to say once that's done, we can treat this just like an sklearn's decision tree classifier, where we can say dt dot score, and we're going to pass in dec dot xtest and dec dot ytest. Once we do that, oh, I did capital Y, my B, we get an 84. That's actually pretty good, and considering the programmer's headache that you don't have to go through in making a decision tree, because that script does it all for you, that's pretty awesome right there with an 84% accuracy. All right, so we finally came to the point where we can start predicting whether or not it's going to be snowing tomorrow, and hopefully middle school me would be getting a snow day tomorrow. And the way they're going to do that is by running this script right here. Now, we're not going to be running this inside of Dataspells, and for those of you that don't know what this IDE is that I'm using, it's called Dataspells by JetBrains. And the reason why I like using this is because you get all the capabilities of a Jupyter Notebook, which is essentially what this is, with the add-ons of what a JetBrains IDE allows you to have. And there's certain parts I really love, but there's one thing I really do not like about Dataspell, and that is when you're getting user input, you get like no information. 2021, enter, what day is it? It's gonna be the 20. And I can't enter the number of month because there's no months over here. So what we're going to do is just cancel out of this, and we're going to hit this globe, which is going to open up a real Jupyter Notebook. And we're just going to run all the cells again, restart and run all cells. And we're going to input all those arguments again. It's going to take a couple of seconds, but just bear with me. And then, where are you? All right, 2021, day of it. 2012. I can see exactly what I'm typing, and then precipitation is going to be 0, max temp 42, 30, wind's going to be 5 miles per hour, and we're going to be getting a prediction of 4. What does this 4 mean? Well, what we can do to translate this from computer language into human language is we can come up to here, and where are you? We're going to call upon this variable encoder.categories. Now, keep in mind, this is a list within a list. So in order to be able to access that first list, we're going to hit 0, and then we're going to call upon another set of brackets, and we're going to pass in this 4. Once we run this, we're going to find out, yes, it is actually going to snow tomorrow, which means possibly I could be getting a snow day. So, okay, Anders, so middle school me would be going to bed tonight, praying and hoping that it would be a snow day tomorrow. Honestly, snow days were my favorite part of the day, well, favorite part of the year, because you got a no school day. So let me know down in the comment section down below, what is your favorite part of the year? Is it Christmas, the holidays, Thanksgiving, your birthday? Thank you all so much for watching, and if you have not yet subscribed and you want to learn more about decision trees and how to use that Python or the Python package that we created, then go ahead and hit that subscription button as well as that bell icon. And all the Python packages that we worked with in today's video, you can get the pip commands to install them on your local system down in the description bar down below as well. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, if you want to learn more about artificial intelligence, go ahead and click on one of the videos popping up on the screen. Don't forget to laugh. It helps with the programmer's headaches, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.